What's up, YouTube? Nick here. Today we're going to talk about do I believe that the Bible is real and true, and how I think that you should go about trying to, interpret the Bible and read the Bible and contextualize it properly. And so, this is one of my least favorite questions, actually, when people ask me, do you think it's true or do you think it's real? Because there's often, when people ask this, there's almost like this, oh, you don't actually believe that witchcraft shit, right? And it's kind of like, I don't enjoy the question. I don't like the idea of real and true, and I don't even know actually what that question is. And I think it's something like, do you think it's historically accurate? And maybe that's what people are kind of asking. And I don't know, aspects of it, probably not. I think it seems outlandish. It's unbelievable, especially in the Old Testament. I don't think that, the earth was created in 7 days, and I don't think that it was just Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, let's say. But I think that it's the wrong question. Like, it's not appropriate to ask, is this historically accurate? In some sense, who cares? Like, that's not the important aspect of, is this true? There are important aspects, like the story of Jesus. If you're a Christian, that's it's interpreted to be historically accurate, and maybe I'll touch on that. I think the better way to ask this is you can ask something like, is Shakespeare true? Right? Is Harry Potter true? And in the same way that you can ask that question, is Harry Potter true? Like, what I mean by that, I want to apply that same thing to the Bible, right? And when I say, is Harry Potter true, what I would say is something like this, is it's like, this story is addressing something that's deeply embedded inside you, right? And there's a call to you that is talking to something really deep inside of you that is true. And then, there's historically accurate stories, right? Like if I talk about, oh, today I woke up, and then I stretched and I yawned and then I looked left or I looked right and then, I blinked my eyes 7 times and then, and then I yawned again, and then I finally decided to get out of bed, and I moved my leg. I mean, it's a dumb story, right? You don't care. You're going to lose interest, right? But what you want is the gist of the story. You want, okay, there's some problem that you encountered, and then a solution to that problem. That's what it makes a story, right? And then there's better and worse stories, and there's more important problems, And one thing I could say that, this might be a bit more interesting of a story is something like, oh, I got up this morning, and I couldn't find my socks, and I was kind of looking for my socks, and then I remembered, oh, I left my socks in the dryer, and I had to go down and get them. Like it's not the most exciting story, but it's better than the first story I told. And you can ask why is that a more compelling story? And it's because it's getting more at answering bigger questions, right? I mean, it's a bit bigger of a question than I don't even know what the question that I was addressing in the first story even was, right? But then it's like the Bible, what it's addressing is like the most fundamental questions about being itself. Like, what gives your life meaning? What is the point of this? What is the point of everything? What's the point of existence itself? Where did this come from? Where are we going? What role should I take in this? And then it's compelling and it grips you, and you should think about it as a distillation of the gist of answers over, essentially all of human history to these kind of questions. And I think that's what's encapsulated in these sacred texts. It's something like that. And then Harry Potter, honestly, if you think about it, the story of Harry Potter is the story of Jesus. It's the same damn story. It's like, with Harry Potter, it was a story of good versus evil. You had Voldemort, who was the personification of evil, and then he had, his minions, and you had, Dumbledore, who was the personification of good, and then essentially the son of Dumbledore was Harry Potter. He wasn't literally the son, but, he was his protege. And then Harry Potter, he was touched by evil, but then at the end of the movie, hopefully I don't spoil this. This is decades old now, so forgive me if you haven't seen Harry Potter, But at the end, it was like, okay, in order to save the day, he literally sacrificed himself to the evil to save everyone else. And then he was resurrected and reunited with God. I was like, for Christ's sakes, it's the same damn story. And that's why it's popular, right? And then you can ask, okay, well, is it real? Is it true? And it's like, what the hell does that even mean? I don't even understand what these questions are when people ask these questions, because it's like, I think it's the same question to ask, is math true? Right? Is math real? It's like, well, what does that even mean? It's like in some sense, yes, but there's not a perfect square out in the real world. You can't find one. But we have this conception of a square, right? And then you can ask, okay, what's more real? A desk that kind of looks like a square but isn't a perfect square, or the perfect square, right? And I think it's actually the same thing. And it's kind of like the perfect square is actually more real than the object that's an imperfect square. Because the imperfect square, it's trying to be a perfect square, but it's not a perfect square. But what we can do is we can use abstraction and we can use our imagination to construct like kind of the purpose and the goal of the imperfect object. And we can try to distill out of it what is perfect, right? And that's, like in the same sense that that's what math is doing about the natural world, I think that's what stories do about kind of this moral landscape. And I would say what the Bible is like, I don't want to say it's the perfect text. And then, and I know some people will argue about this, even, different branches of Christianity argue about this, whether it's, the literal word of God or if it's God inspired, right? And I err more on the side of, let's say, God inspired, where it's the Bible's not perfect, but it's like, that's a damn good book, and it's been iterated over for thousands of years. Like, we don't even know when the origins of these stories came from, but like, they're the oldest damn stories around. And it's like, there's something to it. Why do we still tell these stories? Why are they still around? And it's like, because there's something real about it. There's something true about it that it's actually addressing. And so, this question is kind of like, okay, is it historically accurate? No, but who cares? Like Harry Potter's not historically accurate, but people lined up to spend, their hard-earned money and time to actually go watch it. And I don't know, it's just like it's just, I think it's actually like, I really struggle with the question. And like, I just think it's just looking at the wrong thing, It's like, okay, fine, by your definition of true, it's not. Fine, but who cares? Like it, so what if it's not true? Like, by your, strange definition of true that you're trying to apply to this, it doesn't matter. Like, it's true in a different way. And it's kind of like, okay, maybe the story of Adam and Eve is not historically accurate, but like, this thing is jam-packed full of principles that you can use to orient your life to make it a more meaningful and productive and helpful life that you feel good about. So, like, that's pretty damn real and true to me. And I don't know, I think that's the correct way to kind of look at the Bible, and yeah, I don't think, like, it's not true in the same way that something is scientifically true. Fine. But so what? Right? And yeah, and I think that, like, these stories, it's actually almost more true because what we did is we distilled out the gist of the story. What is the principle of the story? What is the punchline of the story? What is the moral to be told? And then over time, we made it more and more and more concise to the point that Cain and Abel is something like 13 lines, and it's like that thing, you could read that for your entire life and not extract all the gems that are in that story, right? And we've stripped away all the fat and left behind just something that is the like most concise way to state the morals of these stories. And it's like, I think you can read the Bible and you can have this attitude of like, oh, this isn't real and this is, untrue. And it's like, if you want to have that attitude, like, I'm not going to stop you. But then if you have that attitude, you're missing kind of the gems that have been in these texts that have literally shaped our entire society for the past thousands of years. And millions of people have accepted this. And maybe there's something to this beyond what we think about, with this lens of science of, oh, it's not true like science is true, which I even think scientific claims are not true in this way that people attack the Bible with, Like, is quantum mechanics true? Is quantum mechanics real? Is it really true that an electron is, both here and there at the same time? It's like, who the hell knows, Like, but that's not even the right question to ask. The question to ask is, okay, if I act out the principles that are, being laid out, do I get the outcome that I expect? That's really the question. And what I would say is yes, with the Bible and with quantum mechanics, right? With quantum mechanics, it's like if you adopt this worldview that the electron could be here and there at the same time, and then you act out the story, you get the correct answer. And then you do an experiment and you get what you predict. And in the same way, if you act out a story in the Bible, you will get the prediction that it makes, like act like Lucifer, right? And this is true. If you think that you're above everyone else, you think you're above God, you know everything, you don't have anything else to learn, and in fact, you're above God. God is beneath you, and you're somehow beyond that. You've figured everything out, you have nothing to learn, and, you should try to, create a new type of society and new type of existence with all your, infinite wisdom. Like, you're going to get smacked in the face by reality. Like, people are not going to want to talk to you. Like, if you've ever had experience or you've gone online, you've looked up narcissists, right? Just go Google narcissistic abuse and look at a forum and tell me that they're not describing the story of Lucifer, right? And it's like, everyone, like people saw this person that thought they were, amazing and grandiose or whatever, and then somehow, like they tried to kind of warp reality to be, to somehow think that they knew it better than God himself, and then reality fought back and and hit them, and they had a fall from grace where it was like they get disoriented because people are kind of like, we're fed up with your bullshit. And then, the people that kind of worshipped this narcissist or Lucifer fell down with him when he had his fall from grace, right? And he pulls them down with them, and then just go look on these forums. I mean, they basically say, oh, this narcissist that I was dating or whatever is literally Satan, and it's like, they don't use those words, but just listen to what they actually say about the person, and it's like, oh, they might as well be saying, he's literally Satan, because so then it's like, okay, well, is that real? Is it true? And it's like, well, act it out and see what happens. You try it. And it's true, and that's why you don't do that, right? So it's like, okay, and I think it's the same way if you look at quantum mechanics. Is it true that an electron is here and there at the same time? Is it true that an electron is both a particle and a wave? And it's like what kind, I don't even know how you answer a question like that. You can't do it, right? And it's, it's a different kind of truth. And it's true in a good enough sense that when you act it out, you get what is predicted by the model. And so in some sense, quantum mechanics is a model about the physical world. I actually think the correct way to think about the Bible is something like it's a model for this moral landscape, like for modes of being. Like if you act out a certain set of principles and you act in a particular way, certain things are going to happen to you. And in the same way that quantum mechanics is a model for the natural world, I think that the Bible is a model for, this mode of being moral landscape. And yeah, so that's what I would say about that. And, if you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe, stay up to date. And until next time, take care.